welcome to a quick update for Hurdle Gaming. Just want to talk about the new patch just got released, patch 3.4.3 for Heroes of the Storm. It looks like a bunch of minor tweaks and then some bigger changes, especially for Yrel, but let's kind of scroll through and see what we got going on here. The ranked pool has had Volskaya Foundry returned, which is cool. Cassia has some new changes. Little buff here. Which is pretty nice. Let me see. Reduce blinding lights, cooldown and mana cost by 33% for Seraph's Hymn. Very nice. Basic attack skins by enemies deal 100% bonus damage. Nice. Like, not a huge buff, but nice little tweak for her. Looks like Phoenix, he had some back and forth. He loses some health scaling and some health regeneration. Shield scaling. So basically they made him a little bit less able to take a punch. But they did up his Planet Cracker R, reduce his damage bonus from combat advantage. They did increase the attack speed for Warp Warfare, his level 7E, so that's nice. Increased his Adanium Shell, his E talent for level 13. Shield recharge amount goes up. Shield regeneration reduced for basic attacks, damage, health. So it looks like basically just some balance tweaks to make Phoenix fall a little bit more in line with what they want, which is fine. You know, I feel like he was a little hardier to fight against, but having him hit harder actually kind of makes sense. I mean, I hate fighting him, but it'll be nice that I can kill him a little bit faster because he's technically an assassin. So, Greymane got some nice buffs here. Cooldown reduction on his Gilnean Cocktail. His level 1 Q talent refunds more mana, which is nice. They removed visceral attacks and instead, what is this? Unfettered Assault now also causes Worgen basic attacks to reduce Razor Swipe cooldown. Very cool, actually. Definitely gives a little bit more functionality to his Worgen form, which I love. That's the preferred way to play him. I mean, yeah, you can play like a shooting Greymane, but boring. He's a werewolf. Why would you do anything else? Maeve saw some changes. Warden Avatar duration reduced from 7 to 5 seconds for her Warden Cage. Cooldown reduction per hero tethered for Pursuit of Vengeance increased. And Shadow Armor duration increased from 2.5 to 3 seconds. Cruel Chain damage bonus per stack reduced from 40 to 30. Maximum damage bonus reduced from 200 to 150% for Cruel Chain. Vengeful Knives bonus damage per hero hit increased from 1.2 to 1.5% maximum health. So the developer comments the changes are directed towards fixing some of Maeve's lower win rate talents. Basically, they just want to encourage people to try different Maeve. Anyway, her. They wanted to try and get people to pick different talent builds with her, it looks like. And then they wanted to reduce the Warden's Cage duration. So, Tracer actually saw, I'm not sure how big of a nerf this is, but it feels kind of significant. Her basic damage attack damage is reduced by 1 point, but since all she does is basic attack and it's very fast, it's actually more significant than it seems. And then her blink cooldown is increased from 8 to 9 seconds, which is going to make her less annoying to fight against, but more painful to play as. So we're going to have to see how that goes. I predict that those changes probably won't stay. At least I hope they don't, because they're actually fairly significant for her toolkit. Again, she's a rapid fire auto attack hero, so any damage reduction to her damage affects her pretty heavily. Again, it looks minor, but I don't think it is. Zul'jin saw a kind of big change. Amani Rage is now part of his baseline kit. Cooldown is increased from 20 to 30 seconds, but since it's baseline, fair enough. And it no longer grants armor. However, he has a new talent, Amani Hide, which gives him 10 armor while regenerating health and reduces the cooldown again. So you can talent it to be as good as it used to be, but since, as they said, Amani Rage was a staple in every build for Zul'jin, they're like, let's just put it into his basic toolkit and you can talent it to be as good as it used to be. So, which makes total sense. I think that's a good option for Zul'jin. I think that's good for him. Nazeebo damage per tick reduced from 18 to 17 for Plague of Toads. That's not a huge nerf. Plague of Toads, I mean, if you build Plague of Toads, it's a little nerf, but if not, Gargantuan attack damage reduced from 150 to 140 and health reduced from 2185 to 2000. Minor nerf tweaks for Nazeebo. I don't feel like those are big changes for him. Probius, level 20 talent Probius loop. Required number of heroes hit to crit and warp reduced from 2 to 1. That makes sense. It's kind of a frustrating talent if you have to line it up to hit 2 heroes every time, and not very useful if you're going one-on-one. So I can see that being a good change for him. Zagara got some nerfs here. Basic attack damage reduced from 82 to 80. That's so-so. I mean, she has a lot of abilities that she uses to cause damage, so not huge for her. Hunter Killer damage reduced from 68 to 65. That sucks. Infested Drop. Roach damage reduced from 29 to 27. Also sucks. Nidus Network. Cooldown increased to 120 seconds, and the cooldown reduction per basic attack while decreased from 0.75 to 0.5 seconds. So, some nerfs for Zagara, probably just because she was seeing a little bit higher win rate than they wanted. I don't think it's going to drastically affect how you play. You're just going to notice that you're not hitting quite as hard, which is frustrating for Zagara players. Totally get that. This is interesting. Ana got a buff. Her Shrike trait now applies doses to structures. I don't know how effective and how much of a change that's going to be, but it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. I think that's a good change for her. It doesn't make like a lot of sense, but whatever. A lot of stuff doesn't make sense. Deckard Cain, buff, more NATOs, his level 20, cooldown reduction increased from 5 to 6 seconds. Actually, it's a nerf, my bad. So, yeah, not much else to say about that. Rhaegar got some pretty big changes. His chain heal had the cooldown reduced, it heals for more, and the mana cost was reduced, which is good. His ancestral healing was nerfed. It was reduced from 1475 to 1180 base. So, as they said in their notes, basically they felt that ancestral healing was a huge heal, but it was mostly overhealing, which I agree with. I think it's good as it is, but chain heal needs to be buffed, definitely for Rhaegar, so that's good to see. Spirit Walker's Grace, mana cost reduction from 20 to 15. Stormcaller, maximum mana restoration increase from 40 to 100. Good buff. Farsight, reveal duration reduced from 10 to 5. That kind of sucks. Enemy reveal reduced. Makes sense, keeping in mind with the change there. Cooldown reduced. That makes a lot of sense. It makes it less strategic, more like you just pop it out. And then the size of the reveal. So it looks like they just kind of scaled it down, but to make it pop out more, so that makes more sense. Earthly Enchant, healing per second increased to 45. Cooldown reduction decreased from 1 to 0.75. So for tidal waves. 16. Rising Storm, damage bonus per stack increased from 10 to 15. Maximum stacks reduced from 20 to 15. So it looks like this is just kind of an equilibrium change for him. Kind of pump up his healing, tone down some of his overhealing from Ancestral Spirit, which makes a lot of sense, you know. Farseer's Blessing, healing bonus increased from 50 to 75. Nearby allies healed increased from 50 to 75. That makes good sense. That's a good change for his level 20. So, yes, by increasing the healing potential of Chain Heal, Rhaegar will feel more dynamic before level 10, which is good because he's boring as hell. Cooldown reduction will also make tidal waves, Earthling Enchant, Blood and Thunder more attractive picks in their respective tiers. I agree with that. During internal testing prior to making this change, we found the extra healing it offered frequently resulted in overhealing. Yes. As a result, we think this healing reduction won't feel as impactful as it might initially seem. I agree with that, especially since it scales well. I don't think it's going to be that big of a change. People are probably going to be upset about it if you play Rhaegar, and then when you actually play him for, you know, a week, you're going to be like, he's actually better now with his chain heal buffs. Anubarak, Nullification Shield was removed, and instead he got Hardened Shield, which is an active ability. Activate to gain 75 armor for 4 seconds, taking 75% less damage. This is good because it gives him some real survivability at level 20, which is what he needs. I mean, he's a strong tank, but he needs to be able to take a hit better, especially late game. So a 75% reduction to damage that can be timed is very important for him, and I think that's a great change. Some nerfs for Blaze, Bunker Drop, cooldown increased to 60 seconds, but his combustion damage was increased. So they probably want to see people picking combustion more. Feeding the Flame, Oil Spill cooldown reduction increased from 2 to 2.5 seconds. So that's a nice little buff for Blaze players. Diablo got more health, and he got more health regeneration. They buffed Apocalypse and nerfed Lightning Breath, which is kind of interesting. I think they probably just want to push people more towards taking Apocalypse and away from Lightning Breath. I think they're both viable talents, so probably just wanted to see his toolkit even out. Bonus attack speed duration increased from 5 to 7 seconds for cruelty, that's good. Dying breath cooldown reduction increased from 20 to 25 seconds per hero hit. Also very good. So some nice Diablo buffs there. He was already pretty powerful, but it's good to see him getting more love. Joanna got a lot more health. Health increased to 2700, regeneration increased to 5.625, so she's even tankier, which is nice, because that's what she does best. And level 4 Eternal Retaliation also restores 2.5 mana, which is nice. She struggled with mana, in my opinion, which is not something that you really want in somebody who can't do a lot of damage otherwise. So it's a good change for Joanna. Uriel got a lot of big changes here. Cooldown reduced from 10 to 8 seconds for Divine Purpose. That's awesome. That's actually huge for her. Avenging Wrath, damage increased from 150 to 225, which is really big. She needs to do more damage, you know, just all around. And honestly, playing her more, and they talk about this here, it's like she does have a unique playstyle. She takes a little while to get used to, but once you do, she's actually really enjoyable. And I've done a 180 on Uriel. I used to not like her at all when she came out, when she released. Now it's like probably currently my favorite hero in Heroes of the Storm. So these changes are very welcome. Aegis of Light, her level 4, armor increased from 25 to 35, gifted the Naru trait, healing reduced. I can see that actually. It was pretty powerful heal, but it kind of made it like sort of necessary, so I'm glad they changed that. Bonus movement speed for Hand of Freedom increased to 50%. It makes it a much more attractive pick, so I'm glad they did that. Righteous Momentum, Uriel is no longer slowed while channeling Righteous Hammer. That's a good change for a level 7 talent. Bonus movement speed reduced from 45 to 25. That's keeping in line with just taking off the slow from channeling Righteous Hammer. I like that. I like that change. Templar's Verdict, armor reduction duration increased to 4 seconds. Again, that's another strong buff for her. She needs to have more viability, more reasons to play her and pick these talents. Divine Favor, cooldown reduction decreased from 2 to 1.5 seconds. Yeah, I guess I can see that. So we've seen Uriel trending upward strongly since release, most likely due to players beginning to master her unique playstyle. Agreed. We've seen a large difference between players who have a lot of experience as Uriel, level 10 plus, and people who are still learning the hero, which is true. She doesn't play quite like any other hero, and her kind of uniqueness makes her difficult to master. I mean, it's sort of like playing Hanzo for the first time in Heroes. It's a very different playstyle, and until you get used to it, you're gonna suck. So I think this is what they want to do, is kind of make her a little bit more attractive to new players so that more people will play her ultimately and make the character more fun. So we would like to make her feel a little more powerful and be countered by enemy picks a little less. I agree with that. We've increased Avenging Wrath's damage, so she gains a little wave clear at the cost of her escape. That's a good trade. She's all about trades. So while also allowing her to threaten enemy backlines. Good changes, especially with the Divine Purpose buff from 10 to 8 seconds. Means that you're definitely a lot more mobile, a lot more dangerous, which is something that she was really lacking for the toolkit that they gave her. So this is a good change. Uriel players won't need to channel as frequently, which will result in fewer interrupts. Theoretically. They should just put theoretically there because, yeah, that'd be nice, but we'll see. So, general fixes, addressed an issue that could cause the game client to crash. That's awesome. I don't know what it was. We'll never find out. Some changes to Alexstrasza, just bug fixes. Medivh bug fixes. Thrall bug fixes. Shields, talents that deal damage versus shields, such as Varian's Shattering Throw, no longer also deal damage to the target's health. That's an interesting change. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of salty Varian players out there, but if it's not an intended effect, then it shouldn't be in the game. So. And apparently, Uriel can no longer become invulnerable if she is revived by Divine Palm while casting Global Heart. Good to know. And they restored a bunch of backstories for Kerrigan, Leorg, and Rexxar skins. So that's pretty much the roundup of the patch today. I think overall, good changes for everybody. Everybody's got a lot of good things going on for them. You know, some needed buffs, especially for Uriel, who again, and Rhaegar got some very important changes. So I look forward to checking out the new patch. I hope you are too. Thank you for tuning in. And until next time, I am Hurdled. This is my channel. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next.